News Talk, 95.1 FM and 790 AM. We are KFYO Mornings with Dave King and Matt Martin. And here we are at 7:07 AM on this Friday, May the 12th. And in the studio with us is Councilman Chadis. Well, Lubbock City Councilman Chadis, right?
Yes, sir. Thank you for the invite. Good morning to all.
Always good to have you here. So you've been in office, what, a year?
Not quite a year, right around 9 months.
9 months. So how are you finding life with being a city councilman?
It's great. I'm enjoying every day of it. No regrets.
And that $25 a month that you make.
It makes the difference.
Yeah, boy.
Enjoying it every day, gentlemen.
You meet a lot of people, don't you?
I meet a lot of people on a daily basis.
But they're usually griping about something, aren't they?
Actually, the crowd has been fairly friendly. As of yet, it hasn't happened. Everybody's reaching out, meeting with people out in the community, going out to the restaurants or out to grocery shopping. Somebody's always wanting to sit down and talk, and that's part of the promise I made, to sit down and speak with the people out in the community, regardless of which precinct or district you live in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, last night y'all had a council meeting, and it wasn't no fireworks. I don't think I didn't hear about any.
No fireworks. Everything was good.
Yeah, but y'all did vote on an ordinance about parking. I think it's not to park within 3 feet of a driveway. What brought that about?
It was an existing ordinance that someone inadvertently got removed, and what brought it back up was the chief and the police, the LPD, wanted to bring it back in as a safety issue. You're pulling out of your driveway, and you've got traffic on either side of your driveway parked, stationed there. You're pulling out into a blind intersection. So it was a safety issue, safety item that's the reason it was brought up.
Okay, just for visibility?
Visibility, well, safety really more than anything else.
Okay.
Let me ask you, are you familiar with the RV parking ordinance? Are you very familiar with that?
Not very familiar with it, but yes.
I just wondered about that. Neighbor had an issue of bringing he stores his RV off premises, but he brings it to his house for a week or so, and they clean it up and all when they're going to use it. And he got a ticket for having it parked at his house.
Can't park it at your house. You got to have it covered parking.
Then how do you bring it to your house to load it, with your clothes and your groceries and all?
Park it for a short amount of time, but you can't leave it there.
My friend, as a matter of fact, the police officer coach showed up and told him that he needed to move it. And he was there for the same reason. He was cleaning it up, removing the groceries they did not use for the weekend. But he had, I think it was 3 days or 4 days to get it moved out of the way.
Okay. So there's like a time period.
Yes, and I'm not familiar with what the time period may be.
Well, I just thought that was odd, and because the way it sounded was, even if you just drove up there and parked for 10 minutes, if you get caught, you get a ticket. But maybe that's not the case.
It wasn't the case with him. It was more of a warning than anything else.
So with the parking ordinance, places like Texas Tech, do you think that that's going to have any effect on the ability for people to park out there? I mean, it's already really low parking.
Well, the parking doesn't go away.
Right.
It's just a restriction as to how far or how close you can get to the actual driveway itself. But you can still continue to park out in the street. Mm-hmm. Now, there's some neighborhoods out there in the Overton area. The streets are fairly narrow.
Right.
Now, if you start parking on each side of the street, you're pretty well shutting it down to maybe a lane and a half. Mm-hmm. But again, that's not what it's meant to do. It's just, let's keep the streets safe. Let's keep them further than 3 feet away from the driveway.
Well, Councilman, do you have did you come on to the council with anything in particular, like an agenda that you wanted to see fulfilled?
The agenda that the people that I was working with during the campaign, we decided we would try to get the neighborhoods cleaned up. Some of the deserted vacant homes.
All over Lubbock or in your precinct?
The district itself, because that's where my concentration is. It's in District 1. Of course, I would like to see the entire city adhere to that. But sure. As one person, as one councilman, I can't take on the entire city. We just do it one house at a time.
Right. And so we have, and I know I have seen some of those houses that are, even some houses that people are living in that it looks to me like need to be torn down.
I am in total agreement with
you.
Jeez. But how do you address that? I mean, somebody's actually living there.
Yeah, well, Yeah, I don't know, but then there's also a lot of abandoned houses. So ultimately, the city of Lubbock would have to go through the process of tearing down a structure like that. There'd be a lot of expense involved, wouldn't there?
There's an expense involved. There's court hearings that have to take place as well.
Yeah.
Right now, Judge Hernandez is doing a good job at that. But then again, we tear it down at the expense of whom? The city's got to foot the bill for that. And now you've got an empty lot that needs to be taken care of.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
yes, we want to clean up the neighborhood, but again, at what expense? There's a few houses already scheduled for demolition, and we're looking forward to that. But then again, some developers have come up and have said, we want to start developing or building some more houses. Rooftops are good for Lubbock, good for the community, good for business. And I get excited when a contractor comes up and says, what can we do? For a good example, Villa del Norte in the Mayhan area, used to be an apartment complex there. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the area. That's where they found a dead body a few years ago. It was torn down, and the developer comes up and he says, what can we do? I said, well, the neighborhood, the community in that area is up in age. A retirement community would be nice. He meets with some people, and then he decides to build duplexes for a retirement age people. And the community is excited about it, and so am I. I mean, it's good. It's good for the community. Again, good for the city.
You bet. Absolutely.
Yeah, I love duplexes. But as the investment side of things, duplexes are really nice. But anyway, so y'all been working, let's see, on the Lubbock Comprehensive Plan Advisory Committee.
Yes.
And how many people are going to be on that committee?
32 at this point.
Okay. And how are you choosing those people?
We all had to choose between 3 and 4. My list was about 6 people. And then I've got a banker, 2 developers. One of the developers is an architect. It's a pretty diverse group of people, different job background, business backgrounds. They're going to be representing the city, which direction the city will be going into. What direction are we going? Streets, development, and so on.
And they're trying to plan for the future, I guess.
It's
that's
definitely
what their
planning.
job?
Yeah, we're planning. It's a plan for the future. What direction is Lubbock going into, let's say, arbitrarily, a 10-year frame? Where are we headed? How are we going to get there? What are the goals? What achievements do we want to do in the next 10 years?
Okay. And as the city council, do you take what they say and do you try to preempt that, as in building roads, building infrastructure, trying to prepare for that direction?
Yes, that is the direction we're going, and then the city council, of course, will. It's a board commission. Then the city council will have the ultimate say so as to how we're going to get there.
Right.
But this board will have a strong say so.
Okay, and as far as, I mean, that's a very large committee. Are they going to be in subgroups of some kind and then come together as a large group? How is that going to work?
I would think there would have to be some subgroups that will take place. Again, we're at the infancy stage at this point. Excited about the fact that we're working on a new land use program,
Okay.
which is great.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it is good because Lubbock is just growing so fast, and gotta preempt this stuff. We gotta prepare.
Yes, we've got to keep ahead of it. The existing plan is, I believe, it's around 20 years old, so it's time to revisit and start up with something new.
Yeah, absolutely. You're listening to City Councilman Chadis this morning here on KFYO Mornings with Dave King and Matt Martin. It is 7:16 a.m. and 51 degrees, and we'll be back and talk more with Councilman in just a moment. News Talk, 95.1 FM and 790 AM. This is KFYO Mornings with Dave King and Matt Martin. And we're talking to Lubbock City Councilman Chadis this morning. A lot of interesting information that he is imparting on us. So have you enjoyed your time on the council?
Definitely have. Great experience. No regrets. Looking forward to every day going to City Hall.
Yeah. So y'all had yesterday. I'm not exactly sure what it is. I mean, I went over the minutes and everything, but the tornado memorial. What exactly is that? What are y'all doing with that?
The memorial is 26 feet long in memory commemorating the 26 victims. It's in order to help out the neighborhoods to go by there and visit. It'll have a green space. There'll be some parking area. It's great information for the city. There'll be some plaques. There'll be a grid on the ground commemorating the places where these victims passed away.
So, is this going to be in a city park?
City Park, yes, sir. It'll be actually Glenna Goodacre and Avenue Q. The construction that's going on there right now. That's where it's the planned site.
Well, that was about ground zero for the tornado.
It was. Yes, it was. It went through there into the north side with the Guadalupe neighborhood, on into the country club area. Well, pretty much the north side of town was pretty well devastated.
Right. Yeah. So that just reminded me talking about over there, the Citizens Tower. Right, we drove by there the other day. Right across the street from there, there's a building being torn down. Is the city doing that? Do you know?
No, at this point, I don't know if it's a city or not.
Okay, I was just wondering because it's just right across the street from there.
When will they be through with the Citizens Tower?
We're shooting for a move-in around 2018.
Okay.
Oh,
it's pretty quick.
It's pretty quick.
Yes.
Okay, and tornado sirens, have y'all talked about that at all in the city council?
There has been some talk, and that's where we are at this point. We're at the talking stage. There's no immediate plans to start setting up the sirens. And like I said, it's just talk right now.
Yeah, and we had this talk. This is probably 3 or 4 years ago. The issue came up when Mayor Robertson was the mayor, and I agree with some people who say that the tornado sirens that's yesteryear. You know, I don't think it's a good way to spend the money and to warn people of a tornado. Personally, we've got cell phones now. We are in instant communication with almost everyone. You can send out alerts, and everybody's phone beeps in their pocket, and there's just hardly anyone who doesn't have one. The sirens would be expensive, and then when you have to test them from time to time, which confuses people. They get to where they don't pay any attention to them. I think there's a lot of reasons that that's something that we could probably do without. And that's just personal opinion.
You mentioned the cell phones. I've got some friends right now that I've lost my cell phone before. We've lost communication with a phone. You lose electricity, you lose power, you lose the grid on the phones also. What you're referring to, the sirens that they used to have back when you and I were growing up, they would test them periodically. People become complacent with it.
Right.
There's good and bad on both sides of this. The sirens.
But tell me this, don't you think that people are more attuned to weather now than we were back in the 60s and 70s?
Oh, definitely.
I mean,
I'm forever checking out my phone to see the warnings
I have
or
a
what's
weather
going
app.
on.
You probably have a weather app.
The weather app.
And you go to that radar, and you can tell exactly which way how big the storm is and how close it is to you and which way it's moving.
Yeah, we've got our own tracking system at the palm of our hands.
Yeah.
But and again, it's we can go on this all day. There's some people out there don't even have a cell phone. Some people don't have access to computers. Now, how do you reach those people?
Well, they're few and far between, though.
Yeah, but again, at the cost of what?
And, that's something that neighbors or friends or family could say, hey, George, I know you don't have a cell phone. Hey,
a good neighbor policy.
Take cover. Man, there's a tornado coming.
So just from that, are y'all looking at getting a cost analysis of some kind?
Yes, we will be getting at a cost analysis at some point.
Do many other cities have tornado warnings? Sirens?
Other cities do. I think Lubbock is probably one of the largest cities without
really
a siren.
And we used to have one.
We did. They were back in the 60s when we used to have the sirens. They were more for the not storm shelter, the bomb attacks.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
That's what it was
Gotcha.
set for.
Yeah, the bomb
Well,
shelters.
It's been good, and our time is up this morning. 7:28 here on KFYO Mornings with Dave King and Matt Martin. City Councilman Chadis has been with us for a half an hour or so and answered a lot of questions. We appreciate you being here,
Well, thank you for the invite. Enjoyed it.
Thank you very much.
and we shall return.